Hey guys, Hogan Gidley could not be with us tonight, so Kaelan Dorr is sitting in the chair along with Sonny Joy Nelson. I'm Tim Murtaugh. Welcome, Kaelan.
Hey, thanks for having me. I always appreciate when you decide to add a little more handsomeness to the roster here. So,
Well,
that was our plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. Were you you were just about? Were you ordering some McDonald's on an app or something? What were you doing?
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
For the second time.
Only really eating like one meal a day the last 2 weeks. Woke up today a little sleepy, a little sluggish. So I'm eating 2 meals today.
Good for you. You know, I was thinking, what do you think about adding if we had a theme song for the podcast?
Would it be a Rush song?
Oh, that would be good. Except we don't own the. You'd have to pay royalties for that kind of stuff. What do you think? This is.
I like it.
You have to kind of StreamYard, which we use here, has built-in stuff. What do you think?
It needs more cowbell.
Does this say Line Drive Podcast? What do you think?
I think it does.
Yeah. How about this one? This one's called Feeding the Ducks. You ready?
Oh. This is more my style.
Yeah. This is like an R&B song. This is like
I like it.
I don't know. We're working on this. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's get to it. There's a lot to talk about, and we might as well get right to it because this is the Line Drive Podcast. Play ball. And it's appropriate that we have baseball sounds. I want to talk about this story. This story has really got me fired up. It makes me so angry. Do you guys remember in the spring of 2021, the state of Georgia had just passed its new voter laws, and Stacey Abrams and Joe Biden and all the Democrats and therefore the whole national news media went nuts, and they called it Jim Crow 2.0, and it's the most racist thing that had ever been attempted, and it was so horrible. And Major League Baseball, Joe Biden publicly urged them to do this. Major League Baseball pulled the All-Star Game that year away from Atlanta, Georgia, because of Georgia's new voting law, then moved the game to Colorado because of the Georgia voting law was irredeemably racist. And, well, the news broke today that Major League Baseball has awarded the 2025 Major League Baseball All-Star Game to none other than the great city of Atlanta, Georgia. So what are we supposed to take from this? Does this mean that Georgia somehow, did they change their election laws?
Did they?
And it's no longer racist in Georgia?
Have they changed any laws?
In fact, they did not.
What has changed?
Well,
are they trying to make up for it? What's going on here?
I have a theory. First of all, this is a clip from ESPN. ESPN is crazy woke all the time, as Kayla, as you know.
Yeah.
Owned by Disney.
Yeah, well, that too. Anyway, this is ESPN with President Joe Biden talking about the issue. This is prior to the All-Star Game actually getting pulled.
What do you think about the possibility that baseball decides to move their All-Star Game out of Atlanta because of this political issue?
I think today's professional athletes are acting incredibly responsibly. I would strongly support them doing that. The very people who are victimized the most are the people who are the leaders in these various sports. And it's just not right. This is Jim Crow on steroids.
So what is he talking about? Jim Crow on steroids. First, I know he's talking about the Georgia election law there, but the leaders in these professional sports, and in this case, we're talking about Major League Baseball, are the very people who are victimized by Georgia's law. Is he saying that he's talking about, I guess, American citizens in baseball? Those are the only ones who, of course, Democrats want foreign nationals to vote too. What is he even talking about how these millionaire athletes are victimized by voting laws? They say Major League Baseball stars can't vote. Is that what he's trying to say? And the other thing is, now that MLB has given the All-Star Game back to Atlanta, doesn't this prove that all of this was a charade and a lie the first time? Kaelan, what say you?
Yes. No. And honestly, I'm confused why companies are even having Joe Biden on. It's kind of sad and disingenuous at this point. The guy has no idea where he is. That guy has no idea he's on ESPN. You think he thinks he's talking to Kamala Harris? Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, and that was 3 years ago. That clip.
Right.
I was about to ask if
Well,
that was
two
current.
2 years ago. No,
Oh, was
that
it?
was from April of 2021.
It is nonsensical to me that this guy is given a platform like this, because it's irresponsible on so many levels. But B, I mean, like, nothing's changed. This is, again, another added to the pile of the list of examples of the liberal hypocrisy that seemingly makes no sense. You look at this, you look at the big tech and social media censorship that's taken place over the last 5, 6, 7 years now. It's just another one bites the dust, as I like to say. Fans of Rush like to say.
What? I think that was a Queen reference, if I'm not mistaken.
Queen, Rush, same.
All the same thing.
What are you, Sonny?
Come on. Sonny, listen, your brother is a former collegiate baseball player. Therefore, you must have an opinion about the All-Star Game, right? Because it's a baseball thing.
Yes, my opinion is I hate when politics and sports mix, when they cross over, when one influences the other. I mean, I guess sports don't really influence politics, but you know what I'm saying.
Sometimes.
Yes, I hate it. Like, why? Who cares? This flip-flop too is just another example of the left and the media just going with the flow, ebbing and flowing of whatever they want to freak out about today. They don't really care. The All-Star Game getting switched back now, or being allowed to be in Georgia, just shows you that they really did not care about it to begin with 2 years ago when this happened.
Well,
They
it was a
cared about it.
political.
Right. Because
It
there was
had a
a media
purpose.
outburst. Right. And
Right.
now
It had a purpose back then, because they were trying to get past, I think it was HR 1, which was their federal takeover of election law. And in order for them to argue that the federal government had to dictate to all the states how elections should be run and must be run, they had to point to problem areas, and they thought, aha, here's what we'll do. We'll say that the Republicans in Georgia are giant racists. And so they had this big campaign, Stacey Abrams and everybody, to try to demonize the new law in Georgia. And the All-Star Game got caught up in that. Major League Baseball buckled. And now the fact that the MLB has awarded the game back to Atlanta and nothing in Atlanta has changed is proof that whole thing was just a sham. It was just a scam, because they were trying to get HR 1 passed back in 2021. Yep. Biden was a brand new president. He'd only been president for a few months. And as part of that, they knew they couldn't get this passed through the Senate unless they got rid of the filibuster. And that was the thing, too. They were calling the filibuster a relic of the Jim Crow era.
That's right.
And all of that. It was this whole coordinated scheme to try to get election law passed in the Senate and get rid of the filibuster. And the Major League as crazy as this sounds, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game became a casualty in that fight. And now today, more than 2 years later, we see that the whole thing was a scam. Who is going to apologize for this? Will anybody in the media who played along? Will anyone apologize? Will ESPN apologize? Will Major League Baseball apologize? Will Joe Biden, as crazy as that sounds, will he? No, of course not. No one will apologize, because they don't care. No one, like you just said, Sonny, no one is going to hold them accountable for this gigantic scam that they pulled with such fake outrage. And now the All-Star Game goes back, and it's like, all that stuff that actually never really happened.
Tim, can I ask you, how is there a scenario? Is there a point where we can get past this, where politics and sports are not hand in glove? Nice reference. Can there be a decoupling of the two?
Well, I mean, look at what the reason why this one became an issue was because the left commandeered baseball, and baseball, being a corporate entity, was scared to death and was not going to stand up for what it was obvious common sense, and instead they buckled. So the problem is that when the left sees something that it wants and there's stuff in its path, it all gets consumed. And that includes Major League Baseball or anything else. I mean, it happens over and over again. And they know that the people will buckle. They know that the media will go along. And they know that if it blows up in their face, which this clearly has done, that no one will hold them accountable. Except for idiots like us.
I think there's no coming back, man. I don't know if you've watched much ESPN lately, but it is absolutely, positively unbearable. The anchors not only have zero personality, But everything is just very PC. You can't be that way if you've ever played sports. You know that's not the name of the game. It's absolutely bro. And you mentioned them being corporate entities, Tim. That's it. Like that. That's it. Everyone is being held hostage by the same 1-200 accounts on Twitter or X, and they let them govern their decisions left, right, and center. And it's absolutely a disgrace. You know, we've definitely unfastened Pandora's box here, and we're reaping the benefits. But like the problem is, in a lot of other aspects, like with news and with radio, like with a lot of other things, there's competition in the marketplace. There's no competition in the marketplace here, and I think that's why it continues to get worse and worse every year.
Well, in the same way that sports teams, major league sports teams, are celebrating things like Pride Night and like changing their jerseys and everything like that, I don't even agree with that. Not just because it's Pride, but because it's sports teams getting involved with sensitive issues. Like, why? Just play your game.
Yeah,
don't cause outrage. Right. You know, whatever you do, you're going to make a certain group of people mad that would either come to your game without that. So why? Just don't do it. Just play your game and keep it at that. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with that. Have you seen, there's other stuff, like other blasts from the past happening. Have you seen this letter to America from Osama bin Laden that trended on, I guess, TikTok?
Yes.
And you have a bunch of these. Would you consider these pinheads your peers, Sonny? I'm sorry to ask that question.
No, I think they're younger than me.
Are they?
Tim,
not by much. Kaelan, what? You are not. How old are you?
I'm 27. That's almost 30.
Well, I gave you credit for being a lot younger than that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Okay. I thought you were still like 25.
You're so young in spirit, Sonny.
Yeah. Because Tim, I was so young when you met me. That's how we got here.
Yeah, I guess that's right. So, well, all right. So they're not your peers, but these pinheads recording these TikTok videos, staring, to camera, reading this letter from the letter to America from Osama bin Laden. It was posted by The Guardian or somebody. And they're talking about how basically they're coming around to his way of thinking regarding September 11th. We had it coming. We are the oppressors, Osama bin Laden, he kind of has some good points there. America does suck. We did deserve that. That's basically the tone from these chuckleheads. This is why when people start railing about TikTok and then they start talking about data being stolen and ID theft and all that and how the Chinese can get all of our data, I'm more worried about the propaganda aspect of it. Here you have tens of millions of times these videos have been shared and viewed on TikTok, and it's all very anti-American. It's Americans turning on America, and it's TikTok as the influence here. I think it's insidious.
I would like to see, so this is just a thought experiment. I think it would be very interesting if you just started posting like quotes from Mein Kampf on Twitter under like on TikTok under an anonymous handle, and I would wonder how like viral those would go too. Like people are these kids are so brainwashed. These are your consumers. These are the ones that are determining the behaviors of places like Disney and ESPN. This is why, everything's going down the crapper, dude, is because they want TikTok's ultimate plan and the far left's ultimate plan is for us to get so far on this road and hate our country so much that one day, as we saw this week with Xi Jinping coming to California, we basically just hand them the keys. And we're like, please, will you govern for us, please, sir? Please govern for us.
We have a British accent again.
Today, yeah, it was a little Timmy impression, yeah.
Well, Kaelan,
little Timmy.
Speaking of that, under a Nikki Haley administration, we wouldn't be allowed to post things anonymously online. If y'all have seen her comments,
I did see that. That's a dumb idea.
Yes, but no, I completely agree with everything y'all said about TikTok. I think it is just completely ruining my generation, Tim, there, and the younger generation. Yeah, it's horrible because if it's not ideas that make you hate America, it's ideas that make you hate yourself, that make you think you don't look good enough or pretty enough, or you don't make enough money. You can't buy all these expensive things that will complete your life and fulfill your life. Everything about it, I think, is detrimental to young minds.
Yeah, I agree with all that too. And that, Facebook and all the others are guilty of that, preying on teenage girls, I think, especially. But I mean, the content of this one and talking about America as the oppressor and all that stuff. The reason why it's so salient now is because of the Israel Hamas conflict that's going on there right now. And, it makes, I have no idea why the young left and the left in general has such knee-jerk support of Hamas and the knee-jerk hatred and opposition to Israel. Here they're eating their own. At the DNC this week, and it was not covered by the Washington Post, but a bunch of crazy, unwashed leftists descended on the Democratic National Committee and protested them because, in their minds, Joe Biden is not suitably pro-Hamas enough. And so this is one girl outside the DNC one night this week.
We're outside the DNC. We're outside the Democratic Party headquarters because this party claims to be on the side of life and peace and equality, and we're saying that we want them to live up to their values and oppose this horrific war and call for a ceasefire now. And we're being responded to by the police shoving anti-war activists down the stairs, shoving peaceful protesters back with their bikes. And because our party.
Yeah, well, I have no idea why anybody could possibly be annoyed with her. When they say, do they have any idea what they don't? I don't think they do have any idea what they're calling for with the ceasefire, because if they want to go back to October 6th and before the Hamas attack, and that attack occurred on October 7th, if they want to go back to October 6th and call that the ceasefire, this is what was happening there, is that Hamas was lobbing rockets over at Israel, like they normally do, every so often, lobbing a few rockets, like normal commonplace. Doesn't everybody live with rockets being aimed in their direction all the time? And Israel wasn't really fighting back. They were just using the Iron Dome and shooting down the rockets as best they could. And then the attack of October 7th came, 1,400 Israelis killed. And then Israel decided to fight back. When they say ceasefire, they mean Israel stand there and take it. Mm-hmm. That's what they mean.
Oh, yeah. And absolutely.
Go ahead, Kaelan.
This is only a thing because, like we're saying, we've lost an entire generation of Americans to TikTok, and we've lost the generations probably between me and them because we haven't spent enough time focusing on getting into schools and educating. And this is I'm kind of say this ad nauseum, but we're way too far away from a marketplace of ideas, and this attention as currency society this is what you get. We lost generations to not having or encouraging independent thought or anything thought-provoking in schools, and this is what happens. I guarantee you, if they were to ask themselves a series of 3 questions, they would immediately talk themselves out of doing whatever it is they're doing. But because they're incapable of doing that, we didn't teach them to do that growing up. This is what you get. So, I mean, we made our bed. Now it's time to nap in it.
I have 2 things. First, she said in there that the Democratic Party claims to be the party of life.
Yeah,
that
I knew
is
you were
not true at
Uh-huh.
all. Yes, that was the very first thing that hit me. No, the Democratic Party is the party of not life. 2, going back to TikTok and being just the kids being brainwashed to hate America. And like Kaelan was saying, they're not being taught in school. I don't even know if public schools still do the Pledge of Allegiance every day. We did. I went to public school. And the history classes are teaching you that America is inherently a terrible place, a racist place. We can never recover from it. You are screwed because you live here. And on top of that, you don't have parents teaching children at home outside of school to love America and that they are blessed to live in the greatest country on earth. None of that's happening. That's all. I'll stop.
No, you're exactly right. I think it's commonplace, and then what is produced are minds like this girl. This is the same one from the nighttime scene. This was the very next day, and here she is accosting a Democratic member of Congress who is emerging from the DNC, and she's shouting at this guy. Hang on, here it is.
No, that's actually what we've been saying all month. We've been saying ceasefire now, release the hostages,
and disarm.
De-escalation,
And we want to address the root cause of violence. I'm here to talk to you. Why are you accosting me?
Sir,
Leave me alone.
Sir,
I am allowed to stand here without listening to you because you are not my constituent. Thank you. We will talk to you.
Sir, we are completely
Please leave me alone.
Please
leave me alone. Do I need
relatives
to ask
in
the
Israel.
Capitol Police for protection, or will you leave me alone?
Sir, and to actually
I'm for a
address the
ceasefire
underlying-
with disarmament.
You're for a ceasefire?
With disarmament.
Sir.
With disarmament.
Sir, the whole problem is that we're saying that Hamas is empowered by decades of siege and blockade on Gaza, and we're.
There you go. Sarah, her whole point of view is that Hamas is justified and whatever they do is justified. And he's saying, sure, ceasefire, but everybody has to disarm. And she's like, that's like over her head. You can see on her face, if you're not watching the video version of this, you can see on her face that she is completely dumbfounded that he does not agree with her. She cannot comprehend. This is because she never speaks to anyone who doesn't agree with her. Right. That's exactly what's going on here. Go ahead, Sonny.
I just wanted to add in, I'm pretty sure she's wearing the same thing that she was wearing the night before.
Well, being
an observation.
A pinhead leftist protester is that's hard work. You don't have time for a pit stop and a costume
She could have
change.
stayed out all night. Just
I think she
busting
did.
down the doors of the DNC.
I think that's what she was doing. Yeah.
Drinking those Molotov cocktails, Maybe overserved.
It's just astounding. Kaelan, you sent me a link to a story about the buzz on the alleged buzz on right-wing social media about Tucker Carlson as Donald Trump's vice presidential running mate. What do you think of that? Were you endorsing that as an idea when you sent it to me?
I don't know. I was kind of curious to hear what you had to say about it. I think it's interesting. I prefer my flag bearers, the conservative movement, not to belong in government for the most part. I think government really neuters a lot of the firebrand folks because once you get there, you actually have to do a job. That usually distracts from providing real progress. So I was just more curious what you had to think about it. I know I got two Tucker fans here on the pod today. I wanted to get a little insight from the Line Drive crew. Let me interview you. What do you think about Tucker? Go.
Sonny, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I love Tucker. I think he's great. I wonder if he's more effective in the job that he's doing right now with his videos on Twitter, because they're great. And he probably says a lot of things with that platform that he would be handcuffed saying as vice presidential candidate. I was actually talking about this today.
Are you saying that they're going to try to arrest him too? Is that what you mean?
They could. You never know.
That's what goes on these days,
That is true. But I don't know. As another potential running mate, I don't know. I like Tim Scott. I know that he's not super popular, doesn't poll as high, but I still like him. I think he's such a nice guy.
And he's got
he does have a girlfriend now. Mm-hmm. Not just someone from Canada. I don't see why would Tucker Carlson take such a pay cut.
That's true.
Massive pay cut from whatever it is that he's making now. And I don't know if he's doing better or worse than he was when he was at Fox, but still, whatever he's making now from his advertising deals, it's a ton of money, way more than the vice president of the United States makes. So I don't know about that. I like Tim Scott. You said that Tim Scott was not popular. I don't think that's necessarily it. I don't think he's unpopular. I think actually, maybe for the first time ever, a candidate withdrawing from the race said something that I thought was both true, like they believed it, and also had the benefit of actually probably also being true, where he said that he didn't think that people were telling him no, that they were just telling him not now.
Right.
And I believe that's probably right. Now I don't know if he's for sure going to be president one day or even the nominee, but I think that he is well regarded. People just didn't have him as their top choice for president right now. That's not to say that in 4 years' time it wouldn't be different for him. I think he did himself a pretty good solid for his future by the way he ran his race.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys: who's your pick for the Veep spot then, if not Tucker.
I mean, this is kind of the same thing as being in a TV hit. If somebody asked me that in a TV hit, I would punt. I would say, first of all, I don't presume to tell Donald Trump who he should select as his running mate, and second, I'm going to use that as the dodge and get out of it and say, I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
What about you, KD?
It's really engaging. That's some really engaging.
I'm just telling you, tricks of the trade. Dodge that one.
That's good, Tim.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I would just say that I think if anyone tells you what they think, they know what's going to happen here in the future, then they're not worth their grain of salt. So I would just refrain from, offering an opinion on said question, just like my friend Tim did. But I think like as far as like profile goes, I think it'll be like a backbench congressman or something like that. I don't think.
Oh, really?
Think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? I mean, Trump doesn't really ever obey what the typical rules of politics are. Usually you try to they did this the first time when he picked Mike Pence, because you try to pick someone in your VP candidate who brings things that you don't have, right? So Pence was that. He was an evangelical guy. He's had held office, had been a governor, had been a congressman. He was from the Midwest, a different part of the country than Trump was from. He brought a lot of these different dynamics to the race that complemented what Trump did. So, in that way, he was a kind of a conventional pick strategy wise, but he doesn't, he's already been president now. I don't know what direction does he go? Does he go for demographics? Does he go for just a good fit? What does he go for part of the country? Does he go out of government, in government, male, female? I don't know. There's a lot of different ways he can go. And I don't think there's anything that governs the conversation that he would have internally, or if he's just a council of one, even on this.
It'll be interesting. You and I talked about this last week on the phone, but it'll be interesting to see kind of which path he chooses once he's elected. Because I think like he could walk away with a nomination. I think he, barring any sort of tragic incident, will win a general. But it would be interesting to see what direction he goes once he's in office. Right? Is he going to just show up and light everything on fire? Is he going to, build future bridges for the movement, find some flag carriers for the movement? I don't think there's really any way of knowing, but it'll be very interesting and absolutely entertaining to see where he goes.
I was just watching this on Fox. They were playing a compilation of people on CNN saying that if Trump gets elected, he's going to weaponize the justice system and he's going to go after his political opponents and just going off. And I was thinking, yes, I'm sure he will have a lot of righteous indignation to do that. But I think he truly cares about Americans and improving our everyday lives, that I don't think that would necessarily be his number one focus. I think his focus will be on restoring America to what it was during his first term.
And for anyone in the media or on the Democratic side, for anyone to talk about the weaponization of the federal government and what Trump may or may not do if he's reelected, I mean, my God, if you want to know what weaponization of the federal government looks like, we've got it happening in real time today. I mean, it's not just Donald Trump. It's weaponizing the Justice Department against people, pro-lifers, for example, and the Justice Department celebrating putting grandmothers into prison, celebrating.
For praying, first of all, literally for praying.
It's unbelievable, and we see it in action now. And then there's another thing that you texted me the other while we were leading up to this show, Kaelan, was that Biden not going to be charged in the documents scandal. The top secret classified documents that he found that were found in his Delaware garage next to his Corvette, where his son and whoever, God knows who else, was hanging out in the garage there. No charges. When it's Donald Trump or another Republican, my God, there's going to be hell to pay. But Joe Biden, And it's further example of the weaponization of in one direction and not at all in the other. Astounding.
Why would he get reprimanded for papering his garage with classified documents while he performed an oil change? Why wouldn't he? That's
sure.
Innocent.
Is it true that he was wiping his hands of the oil onto these documents? Is there?
I heard that he was wiping his hands onto the Declaration of Independence. That's how little he thinks of that. Or
He stole it.
I did not. Oh,
Oh, I cannot believe we're here. Just the unfair balance of how President Trump is being treated and how they are treating President Biden in this whole situation is just absolutely. I was talking to my husband the other day about, could you just imagine? I know people say this and it's funny to think about, but could you imagine if just one of the founding fathers could come back from the dead and see how big our government is and how unfair it is? I mean, it would just be, they probably wouldn't even recognize this country.
No, the size of the federal government, I mean, my gosh.
Right.
You know, the United States Department of Agriculture, this is, usually the USDA is not spooky and scary, but the USDA has a representative of the USDA, therefore the federal government, in every single county in the United States. There is so did you know that? Think about it. If you phrase it this way. Yes, there is a representative of the federal government in every county in America. How's that grab you?
Wow.
Yeah, I buy that. It's terrifying.
It's true. And you don't have to buy it. It's true. Sonny, there's probably one standing on your front steps right now.
There probably is.
Go out there and find out what he wants. And he'll say, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And Reagan said that was the scariest batch of words in the English language.
And he's right.
Yeah, he is right. So, Kaelan, what you got going on? Thanks for being with us. You're in Florida now, yes?
Yeah, down here in Florida, living the dream. We've been plagued with storms for the last few days, so we didn't have power most of today. So I had to go to my car to charge the phone. Drove around, called Sonny from the drive-through of the McDonald's. I needed a Coke. I couldn't open up the fridge to get a Diet Coke because the power had been out for so long.
Oh, right. You want to keep the cold in there.
That's right. You know me. If I don't get a Diet Coke on the hour every hour, I get a little cranky. So that's what's going on here. I got a wedding coming up in February.
Yeah.
You said a date?
Yes. So Kaelan, by the way, this will be the podcast premiere of this news, right? Kaelan is engaged to be married.
That's
How
right.
about that?
And not to Tim Murtaugh.
Not to me. No, that is for sure.
I didn't know you said a date, Kaelan.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Thanks for
Wait,
not
when
telling
is it?
me.
It'll be February 19th. It'll be President's Day.
Where are you getting married?
Very good.
Looking at doing it in Carly's, her parents' property. They got a big house and stuff.
That's so nice.
Where in what state?
Oh, sorry, it's in Peckway, Pennsylvania. Tim Murtaugh.
Peckway.
Yeah.
Out of Lancaster.
Yeah.
I know it well. That's not too far from where I grew up. We took a school trip to Lancaster every couple of years. It's not far, so close enough to ride a school bus out to it.
Nice.
Yeah, not bad. No, I'm kind of in disbelief, it's going to change.
I'm in disbelief that you found a female human to marry you. Frankly,
human.
How is Daisy taking all this? Speaking of,
Daisy's loving it. She's great. She's getting old. She's got what we call sugar face, where her face is getting a little white.
Yeah,
it's getting a little scary. She did not like that the heat was out all day today. House smells horrible.
The heat was on today. You live in Fort Lauderdale, right?
Well, sorry, there was no AC, so it was
right.
the equivalent of someone blasting a heat.
Yes.
Oh
heater.
my gosh.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all good. What are you guys up to? Sonny, is the baby still a thing?
The baby
Still
is
have
still
the
a
baby?
thing. I do. Yep. He is 3 months old now. I wish I could show a picture of him.
Nobody has confiscated the baby from you?
No one from the government just yet.
You don't have a job?
You should go check with the guy on the front steps.
That's true. That might be what he's here for. But he is trying hard to roll over, but he is a chunky baby. He weighs 17 pounds, and he's a big boy.
Sonny, tell him to get off his butt and get a job. Okay?
I know.
Work the LBs off in the mines. The children yearn for the mines.
In the mines.
In the mines. Wow.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Is he doing tummy time? Is that a thing? Is that what you do?
Yes. For anyone out there that disagrees with this, I am sorry, but he sleeps on his tummy. And he sleeps in the bed with me. I know all of that is severely frowned upon.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay,
But-
you know who still gets tummy time? Kaelan. Kaelan gets tummy time.
He does.
Yeah,
Who
put him
got
on the mat. See if he can hold his head up.
Oh, you're doing great, Kaelan. I'm proud of you.
All right, let's try. This is different. How's this for a theme song? How's this? No, it's not doing it. Well, wait a.
Is the peak gonna drop?
I hope.
That's terrible.
I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a funeral.
So we got to go through. These are. What is that? No. All right, these are.
Maybe
You got to
we
go through
should-
some stuff that's public domain. You got because we don't want to get in problems with royalties. Anyway, I'll work on that for next time. Any parting words, y'all? No, I put you on the spot there.
Here's one. Spumoni.
Yeah. All right.
What
All
does
right.
that mean?
Well, Kaelan, is it kind of pasta? What is it?
Spumoni? I have no idea.
It's made up. It's made up. It doesn't mean anything. Thanks,
With
Kaelan.
pasta.
Ridiculous. You'll never come back here. No, I'm just joking. Thank you very much, Kaelan, for sitting in for Hogan. We really appreciate it. I hope to see you with some more regularity.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And
Thanks
thank
for
you,
having
Sonny, as always, and best wishes to you and your family. And Kaelan,
Thank you,
congratulations
Tim.
to you and to Carly. Very nice.
Thanks.
And
brother.
I'm Tim Murtaugh, and this has been the Line Drive Podcast.